Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I've done a technical video, so I was testing my water yesterday and figured why not film it and talk about my methods that I use. Let's take a look at the tanks first. The 135, the 90 gallon, and the 29, all African cichlid tanks of course. Here is the API testing kit, which many of you are familiar with. It's pretty easy to use, but there can be a couple of tricky things that I'll talk about. I'll also talk about a couple of shortcuts that I use that could help you save time and talk about how I log the information. So here's the pH test. I keep everything in the original container there for putting the drops in. I'm going to speed it up here a little bit. Now I know all my pH levels are in the high range, but every once in a while it's a good idea to check the low range as well, just in case there's a big change in your tank. So there is the pH vial. Most people read the vials, the colors, by holding it right next to the chart they give you. Technically, you should have a white background. If you've ever taken a chemistry class, you should have even lighting, no shadows, and some kind of white background. Should be like a foam core board or something like that. These sheets of paper that I'm using, you can actually see through them. There's some print on the other side. You should have something pure white to read it. I like to hold it close to the chart, but against the white background. As you can see, the pH was over 7.6, and here is the high range. Again, this is actually not the way to do it. I do it just to get a little idea, and then I'll move the vial over to the side against the pure white background to get a more clear picture. And sometimes if the colors are a little bit, it's hard to distinguish, rule out, the top and the bottom one, it's not those two, and then try and get down to the nitty gritty. Is it 8.0? Is it 8.1? And you'll get a more accurate reading. That is the pH level in this tank right here. Switching over to ammonia, you got 2 bottles, of course, 8 drops per bottle. Going to speed it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then bottle 2, 7, 8. They all have a 5-minute waiting period. So what I like to do is fill them all up at the same time. Move everything to the side that you're done with so you don't mix up the bottles. And then I'll do the shaking all at once, so I just have to wait 5 minutes one time. So we got everything capped now. Actually, the nitrate, there's an extra step. You got to shake after bottle 1. Make sure bottle 2 is well mixed around. Then shake the whole thing again. And then I shake all 3, and then I'll do my 5-minute wait. And then you just find something to do for 5 minutes, kill time. I'll just observe the fish or go for a quick walk outside for some fresh air, something like that. Make sure you set your timer on your iPhone, probably the easiest way to do it. And then come back and check your readings. So we did the pH already. We got the 3 remaining vials. There's the ammonia. The ammonia is very much on the yellow side. Not quite 0.0 parts per million, but there's definitely not much green in there. I would probably split the distance between the 0.0 parts per million and 0.25. I'd call that maybe 0.15 parts per million. So pretty safe level right there for ammonia. Getting a look at the nitrite right now. I've never had any trouble with this. We got a nice light blue. Definitely in the safe zone. 0.0 parts per million we'll call it. Definitely no purple in there. Nothing to worry about. Now the nitrate readings can be a little bit tricky just because it's a little bit tough to distinguish because there's so many different shades of orange on there, particularly between the 20 parts per million, the 40 parts per million, and the 80 parts per million. If you have more than one tank, it's probably a good idea to get this reading with 2 different tanks so you can decide which orange is which, you know what I mean? In this little test right here, I took some of my tap water out, but it doesn't help much because actually my tap water was very yellow. I should have taken a sample from the 135 right there to compare with the 90 because it really didn't do anything to help. But actually, incidentally, you should test your tap water every once in a while as well because things can change with your city's water. So I would call this one 30 parts per million right there on the nitrate. I've also got this kit for testing hardness. I've never actually used it though, but I'll probably start. And then I mentioned I'm pretty organized with how I log things just in case something happens in the tank. Oh, before I get to that right there, I also measure the chlorine every once in a while in the water. So I log everything in this chart right here. Mainly just I want to know what my tank's history are, what the trends are. If something, unfortunate happens, like three fish die, for example, I want to be able to look at what the readings were at that time, compare, see when my last water change was, and so on and so forth. I'll do a video just on maintenance, so I talk more about this chart. But this video I really just wanted to show the API test kit, how I use it, and how to do that correctly. Hopefully you got something useful out of it, and feel free to comment any information you might have to add below, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks.